see you go sleigh bells jingling, ring tingle tingling.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 10th day of Politimas. And today we are going to be having a debate, and I will introduce you to the debaters shortly. But first, I'm going to introduce the rules of the debate. We're going to have an introduction period where all the debaters will introduce themselves and what their opinion is on the Trump presidency, if it was good or bad. And then after the introduction period, I'm going to set a timer. There will be three main topics that we will be covering in this debate. The first one is the economy. The second one is the coronavirus. And the third one is just an overall Trump presidency topic. Each topic will be 20 minutes long, making the whole debate an hour. Once all the timers are up, the debate is over, and I will only interrupt when you are halfway through a topic. And if anyone is talking over each other, I will also interrupt because I want it to be a civil conversation. And if that's not taken place, then I will interrupt. With that being said, let's get on to the introduction, starting with you, Neary.
Hello, Joshua D. Neary, and I'm taking the side of pro-Trump. I think that some of the policies he implemented into our nation really helped better it in places like the economy, in our foreign policy, and some of our social values as well that he really expanded on. We saw millions of jobs. We saw some of our connections with Russia increase, which I think is extremely important at this height of our conflict. And we can get really into the nitty gritty of what I think he did well later into this debate. But that's why I'm taking this pro side. I think that he did things well. I think some of his policies were very important.
Hey, this is William Henry Harrison. I'll be arguing for the negative against Trump. First, I want to thank Left or Right for hosting this wonderful debate. It really means a lot. I'm probably speaking for Josh D. Nerdy too when I say this really means a lot being here this day, and I would like to thank you. I'll be arguing against Trump about his crappy immigration, COVID handling, etc. We'll get into that more in the debate.
All right, so the first category is the economy. We are going to be discussing this for 20 minutes, and that 20 minutes starts now. Neary, you have the floor to make your first point.
Well, I think Trump really smashed it out of the park in the economy with things like the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2018. Some of his policies gave us jobless claims hitting a nearly 50-year low. We saw unemployment drop to about 3.5% at the height of his presidency. We saw 7 million jobs, 7 million new jobs. We saw the middle-class family income increase to nearly $6,000, more than 5 times the gains during the entire previous administration. Saw 40 months in a row with more job openings than job hirings. We saw incomes rise, and we saw a lot of economic prosperity before the pandemic hit, and of course messed it all up in those 3 years. And he added on to what Obama had done at the very end of his presidency, which was extremely important that they weren't completely clashing against each other in terms of policy. Obama, he started implementing the policies that added into Trump, but then Trump coming in really helped grow that into what it became. And I don't think it would have hit records that high and low without his help in that.
So I'm going to add on to your job growth. So when Obama took office, unemployment was already going down by a lot. And unless you're a complete idiot, no matter what, it's like a slide. When something is going down, it's going to continue going down. Trump virtually did nothing virtually did nothing for job growth. He just let it naturally happen, which is not a bad thing, but it's foolish to say that this is Trump's doing. And I saw 0 Republicans compliment Obama for his low job growth. Absolutely no Republicans, and they just gave Trump all the credit. So it's virtually annoying because I constantly see Trump had low unemployment. When a majority of it was Obama's doing. I might give Trump 5% for the very low unemployment at the beginning of his term. A majority of it was under Obama's presidency.
All right. Well, to clash with your point on the jobs already coming, under Trump, we saw factories and industries coming back to the USA. 1.2 million manufacturing jobs opened under Trump, and construction. Things like the wall, things like pipelines, things like, full on industries he brought back to the USA. And that's not something that Obama did. That's something that Trump did. The small business optimism broke a 35-year-old record in 2018. And that's because he gave us relief. He gave the small businesses relief, and that created job openings because when those businesses, when they succeed, they're able to grow and gain more employees, which begins a whole cycle into even prices lowering, jobs opening up, and like I said, economic prosperity.
I do want to ask, do you know what he took away from those businesses to make them start growing again? Because I know I heard this argument before that Obama had all these regulations on small businesses. Do you know what Trump took away to make those jobs start going?
Do
Start
tell.
growing.
Do tell. Tell me.
Sorry?
Tell me. Tell me what he took away.
You said he just took away regulations to make small businesses grow. What did he take away?
Well, we saw income taxes go down in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2018. We saw those tax cuts were specifically on businesses like that, big businesses and small businesses. So that's just one regulation. You can bring up more.
William, do you have a rebuttal?
Oh, sorry. I thought he was still talking because he didn't mute. Yeah, but again, I don't support all these regulations or the pipelines. The pipeline is destroying the environment after Biden shut it down. It's not. I don't think it's worth it for us to have good unemployment for temporarily, but then in 100 years from now, and this has all been proven by many theories, in 100 years from now, we're going to be paying the consequences. Realistically, I have yet to see a Republican president put any regulations on climate change, and this is going to affect our environment in the next 100 years, realistically. And this is temporary. This will be temporarily good, but in the next 100 years, your grandchildren might not even be alive, realistically. So, yeah, it might be good now, but I don't think it's going to be good in the future.
This is about him on the climate or economy.
Talking about the pipeline, you said.
The pipeline, yeah. I think he could have done much better for climate and reducing those carbon emissions.
Yeah, definitely, I do agree.
That's one knock that I would have on his presidency. I think he should have done more. He could have done more.
And I will agree with you on something too. I do agree that on the small businesses, not on the major corporations like Amazon, that was stupid. But the small corporations, like small businesses, I do support lowering taxes for them. And I made a video about this a long time ago. They're paying way too much taxes, but major corporations like Amazon are paying virtually nothing, but they're able to go space. So that I find that unfair, and we can both agree. I do agree that the small businesses should be tax cut, which it was one good thing Trump did, but I don't agree on the major corporation tax that he did.
Yes, but if we see a whole bunch of regulation on these corporations that hurts their capital gain, and that also mainly hurts the profit of the shareholders and the owners of that corporation. And what can we see be exploited? It's those prices. Everybody uses Amazon, and Amazon can exploit the consumers, through raising their prices to make up for that capital and that profit that they lose from all of those regulations that you propose that we add.
Again, if Bill, if crap, I forgot his name. The owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, if he has enough money to go space, he will definitely have enough money to pay more in taxes. He's paying virtually nothing. This has been proven. I think he hasn't. It's 2017 or 2018. He has paid $0 in taxes in his company, and has enough money to go space. Yeah, I understand for small businesses. I will agree on you with that. But he's not going to be affected unless it's an absurd amount of taxes. If he clearly has shown he has enough money to go space, but he doesn't have enough money to pay his taxes. That's just absurd for Jeff Bezos' case.
Right, but this is a corporation. That's not only Jeff Bezos. It's the stockholders. It's the shareholders that they have in the company that is also getting affected by this, and who also propose that they raise those prices. And Jeff Bezos wants to make those stockholders, happy, so that they can get more stock, um, and that the company can grow even more from this stock being bought and sold. And so, if these stockholders are getting hurt by all of these regulations because of this one business, I would say, they would be less likely and less willing to stay in that company. I mean, no matter how strong it is, because of those regulations.
For major corporations like Amazon, he has paid $0 in taxes, and the middle class, virtually, if you're in the middle class, you probably have paid more taxes than Jeff Bezos and the corporation. It's and Trump and all these rich people like that. It's just virtually unfair. I know it might not. I'm not saying raise it to an absurd amount, but these people need to be taxed by something. It is not fair one bit that they're getting paying $0 in taxes while the middle class is suffering, paying the most in taxes out of any other class.
I see what you're talking about here. But Trump also gave tax relief to the middle class. Um,
I did say I do agree with Trump. I do agree on Trump with something. Some stuff I think was over exaggerated. Some stuff I think was just plain out stupid.
I
do
don't mean
agree
to
on the
interrupt.
taxes on the middle class.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I would like to inform you that there's 10 minutes left on this topic.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean on the middle class. And I see what you mean about why we should tax the rich and stuff. And I think that some regulations can be used on it, and that we shouldn't give them all of this. But I mean, if we do go all out, that can hurt us economically. I mean, we can be losing to China by taxing the rich a lot, because they hold a lot of
I don't support
jobs,
taxing the rich a lot, but I do support
right?
them paying something in taxes. Virtually anything. They're the richest corporation in America, and they're paying almost nothing in taxes. That is not fair one bit. I don't support taxing them majorly. I definitely don't support that. I do support doing something, ending these loopholes, which I don't think any president has done, and ending all because these major corporations are just going to other countries that have low tax income, like Iceland, and all etc. That's not fair, and we have to put regulations on companies from doing dumb stuff like that. But no president has done that, which I don't find fair. Also, off topic, Martin, can you please stop saying tax the poor in the chat?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I do agree with you on trying to end those loopholes and other things. Um, and I think that we can find our agreement there on ending those loopholes. And I see that you don't want, to go all out on these regulations of the rich. But I feel like it has made it more competitive from what he's done. to these businesses. It's made the market more competitive. It's led to inflation lowering throughout the market. Bond prices lowering because of this competition, and especially in these corporations. When these corporations are stronger, the stock market gets stronger, and we saw that with record breaking stock market under the Trump administration. And when you have a stock market like that, you have a competitive and you have a free market. And I think that, that really benefited our economy. That really helped bring us even more jobs, and that played into how successful our economy was on paper.
Well, I don't think the stock market was terribly good under Trump. Obama, Biden, and Bill Clinton have had a much better. I mean, a much better. I've looked at the statistics on this many times. They had a much better stock market than Trump, and yeah, I think the main reason for that is because Trump put all these tariffs on countries. Some tariffs were good, some of them were dumber. I do support the tariff on China. I do think we should go hard on them, but tariffs on Mexico, all this stuff like that, I think that really did hurt the stock market, realistically.
Yeah, yeah, I think some of those tariffs were destructive. But I mean, what you did to China?
Yeah, I
Those.
definitely agree. We need to go hard
Mhm.
on China, and I think Trump is doing a lot better going harder on China, but Biden is doing a lot better going harder on Russia. So
And why do you say that?
because I say that about the Russia thing. When Russia in 2016 interfered with the election, Trump did nothing. Never interrogated Russia. Never. When the, when Russia interfered, he just did nothing. He just was quiet about it. And then Biden, he was just yelling at Putin to get all his men out or something out of Ukraine. I don't know the exact details on that.
Yeah, but we aren't sending any men there, which I do agree with. But is that really that hard on Russia? I mean, does Putin really take Biden that seriously? I mean, he's they're comfortable with going into Ukraine and taking what is it, Crimea, um, and Biden doesn't seem like he's doing enough to really stop it, and really enough to keep Ukraine safe from Russia. Yeah, he's going in there, he's yelling at Putin, but is it effective?
I think he's doing a lot, virtually more than Trump did. Trump, I think with China, I do agree. He went very hard on China, which I do like about Trump. The thing I don't like, he just didn't do anything about it. They were literally like best friends, and it's funny how Trump was befriending all these dictators like the North Korea guy, Vladimir Putin, all these people like that. It's just if he doesn't think Biden's gonna go hard, I think he's going to regret it. America is the strongest nation in the world, and if you mess with us, that's going to be consequential. And if it leads to the war, I do blame Russia on that.
Yeah, and also about Biden yelling at him. I think that you didn't really see that from Trump because they have a different style of foreign policy with Russia and North Korea. He built relationships with those leaders, and I feel like that made Russia more willing to negotiate, more willing to give America what they want because those leaders had a relationship. And though I don't think it's good to have friendships with like these kind of authoritarians, you could say. Putin not so much as Kim Jong Un, but it seemed effective. I mean, those nations, they stayed away from what they're going after now under Biden.
The thing I don't like about Trump, the thing he was befriending all these dictators like Vladimir Putin and the King Jong Un guy, whatever his name was or is. But almost all of our allies couldn't get along. We couldn't get along with Canada, UK, because we put all these unnecessary tariffs on them. It's frustrating. We couldn't even get along with our own allies. And the thing about Kim Jong Un, he was virtually almost no threat to America at this point. the only thing that comes out is lies, and none of it's even believable. I don't even think they can nuke America if they wanted to.
I believe they've manufactured something that can reach America. They've manufactured a lot of weapons that can hurt America.
The thing is, if they do even nuke a city in America, they're dead. Everyone there is going to be dead, and that's the reality. We're so powerful. Everyone's too scared to even try to nuke us.
But Kim Jong Un, he's full of himself. You know,
The
thinks
whole
he's all
country's a
that.
lie. I seen dumb rumors come out saying how he never farted, how he never ate a hamburger. It's not hamburger. How they invented a hamburger, dumb stuff like that. Everything that comes out of their mouth is just lies. The whole media, propaganda over there. It's funny. We're trying to talk about Trump's economy. We started talking about Kim Jong Un.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right, but I would like to inform you that the time is up
Okay,
for
that's
the
fine.
economy, which is, perfect timing.
I'll read the chat.
And now the next topic, which William, you have the first talking point on, is COVID-19, Trump's handling of the coronavirus, and your time starts now.
I virtually completely despise Trump's COVID handling. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how he didn't even want to wear a mask himself. And we've seen a mask are efficient. Even if you don't believe it, just look at the statistics. Texas and Florida were the first two states to end their mask mandate. And they're the two states that got hit by hardest with COVID. If you're not a good leader when you don't even want to protect your own people. And the thing about Trump, he has COVID twice now. And he tested positive. The first time, he knew he had COVID and he went to a debate with Biden, risking everyone's life there. The second time, this happened recently, like 3 days ago, he tested positive again and came in contact with 500 different people. And people are saying how he's such an amazing president. He clearly doesn't even care about the people. And with examples after examples after examples, the only person he cares about is himself and his egotistical BS.
All right. Well, I think him wearing a mask, it's not very good. The mask thing, some of the way he acted around it, I don't fully agree with, but his policies, like on it, he had Operation Warp Speed, which got the vaccine out in less than a year's time since when it had come in. We had COVID testing facilities being built everywhere. He made it really easy to get a vaccine. I mean, not a vaccine, a COVID test. He left it up to the states, which I think is a good thing because we got to see what worked and what didn't work through the states. We had a survival rate at about 99.7% at like maybe the height of COVID. And even then, deaths were being counted falsely. And some of those things he said, they don't sound true. They don't sound true, and I just want to see what kind of sources you had there.
Here, after the debate, I'll send you the sources because
all right.
I can't leave the
I'd like
chat
to see them.
thing right now. But yeah, I did Google that, but I'll answer the questions. First, a majority of the COVID vaccines and the COVID testing were from independent companies, from capitalism, as Republicans love to call it. Maybe Trump did put some pressure on them, and I will agree on that. A majority of it was from COVID companies, and it was very little to do with him. And I guess, yeah, I do agree. I do think it's good, though, that independent companies do work on vaccines, because this is the quickest that a vaccine has ever came out, and it's good about it. Now, I'm going to answer your state question. Sorry, hon. I'm going to answer the state question. We left it up to the states, and look what happened. Look what happened to Florida. It had an insane COVID death rate for like 6 weeks, and DeSantis didn't do anything about it after it started getting bad. Same thing happened to Greg Abbott in Texas. You know what he does? He just says he blames it on the immigrants that the COVID has risen. It's not. It is completely all their fault, and we have tried it. The states with the maybe besides like New York, but like New York's very closed in. The states that have the least vaccinated rate are the states with the highest death rate, and I don't think we should leave it up to the states in this moment because clearly the states don't know what they're doing.
Vaughn says Florida literally has the best COVID numbers right now.
Right now, but you remember back then when
Back
like
then.
I think like 5,000 people were dying. I think like 200. Not I wasn't 200. Like I remember, like maybe like 5,000 people were dying a day in Florida after he was the first one of the first states to end the mask mandate. And I understand. I know that's in the past now. But even if a single person dies, that's someone's family. That's someone's father. That's someone's brother. I know it's a 99% success rate of living, but that's still a 1% that could infect many lives. And I think around 800. Don't quote me on this. I'm not exactly sure on the number. Around 800,000 Americans have died from COVID. Yeah, that's a dumb argument at this point. Almost 1 million Americans have died from COVID, and it's not a good argument to say, well, only 1% died from it. 800,000 people are dead. Something needs to be done. The states are not doing anything about it.
Well, we've seen mask mandates come in. We've seen things on schools. We've seen many states do many different things, and we've seen what comes out of that. And that is vital to seeing what the best way of beating this pandemic is seeing what works and Trump giving the states the right to do what they want with COVID was vital to kind of seeing in the future what we can do, setting it up for his second term or even the next president to see what comes out the best. But we
Yeah,
can
I
get
would
into
support
how the
that
next
like
president
beginning
sees
of the
that.
pandemic, but now look, the states have failed. Not every state, but like Texas has failed with COVID. Florida has failed with COVID. North Dakota has failed with COVID. It's not the states are not doing a good job. I'm sorry, and I do support the states having some power, a majority of the power. They're not doing a good job at this point, honestly. And the states with the highest vaccination rates are the states doing the best, like Vermont, Washington. It's just something needs to be done. The reason I'm going so hard on this because I was affected badly from COVID. I was I had a rare condition called MASC. I was the 36th case in Texas. I was in the hospital for 4 days and I had to do an 8 months recovery. I hate to see another kid go through what I do, and it's so sickening. Seeing our governors blame everyone but themselves, and then and then and then them doing nothing about it. That's frustrating. I don't want to see another kid go through what I went through.
And kids like you are now have an even less chance of getting it than what they had before because Trump had the vaccine done in less than a year. And then those kids,
That
I
wasn't
think
Trump.
months
That was
later,
independent companies.
and Operation Warp Speed was literally just funding those companies, which got it done quicker. Because a big reason why vaccines take a long time is because of the funding of it. And when those companies have more funding, they can get it done easier and better and quicker. That's what matters is how fast they do it. And that money propelled them into getting it through under that year.
But I don't think Trump was the only person that funded it. I remember all
It
the
was
donations
Operation
going
Warp Speed.
into. Yeah, Trump did do a good job funding it, but he's not the only person that funded it. It was a lot of donations too. I remember Mark Zuckerberg almost donated all his money to help COVID relief, and Bill Gates was working to get the vaccine to like $3. All these rich millionaires, at least the good ones, were trying to do something about it. Billionaires, not millionaires.
Yeah, but federal funds were a big part of it. You do have all this money, but then with the extra federal funds that's really started it all. It set a precedent of funding those companies and giving them what they need to be done, and also when we go back to those testing facilities, we could also see who had COVID, quicker, and how we can treat it best, because people knew they had it earlier, because he made all of those testing facilities, and he made it easier to get tested, and that very vital in the survival of the new patients.
I like to ask you a question. Do you know how much the government or Trump funded? I'm not. Do you know that exact number, or at least around that number?
I'm not quite sure of how it is. Not
Yeah, because
exactly.
the thing I say that because
He
Trump could say, "Oh yeah, I funded it, but donate $1." It's just
did.
that can't
I
really be the exact reason. It depends how much money he
It
funded.
was
If it's in
millions
the
of dollars.
billions,
I know that.
I'll be like, that's a great thing. But we need to know the exact number, though. That's the thing.
It was millions of dollars. It
Millions.
wasn't
Okay.
$1.
Millions of dollars. I don't think that's gonna do much, honestly. I remember Mark Zuckerberg donating billions of
Remember,
dollars.
these are federal dollars. We can't spend, just all of this money
I know we can't
on
spend most of this money, but the
prescription.
people depend on this money. I will. It, when the people's lives depend on it, I will spend as much money as possible. I know that sounds like a dumb thing, but I don't want to see people suffer from this unnecessary disease. I will do as much funding as can, and millions is not going to do it. I'm sorry. Mark Zuckerberg was donating more than the federal government. That's just unrealistic.
Well, Zuckerberg has that money to spend, and the federal government has all of this. They have defense, which is really big, because our tensions were rising with Iraq around that time when COVID was growing, and Operation Warp Speed started coming into effect. We we also had money going into the State Department, Education Department. All of this money, the federal government doesn't have all of that money to spend like Mark Zuckerberg does.
Um, I think I know there's something called QT, and you know what that is, right? Not QT, QEing. It's what Biden's doing. Looks like the infrastructure bill. We can go into a little debt, which I will support if Trump did. I'm okay if we go to like the $1 trillion in debt if it means we're protecting these people's lives for funding. $1 million is nothing. I'm sorry, that's not going to find millions of dollars. Not going to find the vaccine. I understand we have all these responsibilities, but we can do a little bit of QEing to help these people in need. I will support if Trump did that, even though that could hurt the economy.
That's not.
Not it doesn't hurt the economy, but it could put us in more debt.
It's really not what Trump wanted. That wasn't his goal. His goal
Well, then I
was
don't support what Trump did.
to have
$1
our
million
country
is not going to help
prosper.
companies find the vaccine. I'm sorry.
You don't have that through spending all this money in debt. And I mean, he didn't only spend all this money on Operation Warp Speed. It was also was it stimulus packages for those citizens, for the COVID vaccine, and for losing their jobs, the loss of employment.
Yeah, the first COVID relief. I do support that. I don't know who exactly made the bill. I think it was Trump. I don't support everything in the bill, though. And this is not Trump's fault, by the way. It's some idiot representative or senator. I'm pretty sure $770 billion went to some damn museum. I forgot. I don't know exactly what type. I don't know if you heard. This was a while ago. This is not Trump's fault, by the way. It's just I do support what Bill Clinton did a long time ago, where if you're gonna vote on a bill, just vote on one type of bill, not all this unnecessary stuff.
Hmm?
Is there any rebuttals? Or is that just it? Or do you want to get onto the overall topic a little bit early?
Yeah, we can if Josh wants.
All right.
All right. So the final topic of this debate is just the Trump presidency overall. Basically everything when it comes to immigration, his fiscal policy, his foreign policy, his domestic policy, everything. Starting now.
Who wants to go first? Josh, you want to go first? I'm getting my notes up.
All right, all right. Let me start off with his foreign policy. We touched on this earlier. I think the way he engaged with those leaders really helped us create better relations with nations like North Korea and Russia and other nations. But um, he was the first sitting president to enter North Korea and to talk face to face with the leader of North Korea. And North Korea became a problem under Clinton. Like that was a big thing, and they really engaged in good relations that helped keep their threat lowered and down. And so I think his foreign policy was very vital in keeping um, international countries at bay and away from other nations and away from them, away from us.
Trump's foreign policy was decent. I do think he went hard on China, which I do support. I do support some Trump stuff Trump did, like of course, going hard on China. But I don't support all of his foreign policies. I think we had a crappy relationship with most of our allies, realistically, because we put all these unnecessary tariffs on them. So that's the only issue I have with his foreign policy. But the thing I don't like about Trump is how hypocritical, and I virtually do believe he just doesn't care. This is why I say it, and I say this. This is the main reason I bring up this point. I'm going to talk about Obamacare. I thought this should be my main point because I had a school threat around 2 days ago, and then you're probably thinking, why am I comparing Obamacare to a school shooting? Oh, if Trump does Trump's major bill that went through Congress, if that passed, that would have cut the mental health budget by $880 billion. You know what? And Reagan did cut the mental health budget too. And look what happened under Reagan. Homelessness increased, suicides increased, and shootings increased. Mental health is the main reason shootings happen. And the Republicans and Trump wanted to cut it by $800 billion. And the three people that voted against those bills that actually saw how evil this was, John McCain, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins, the three people that voted against that, were hated by their own party. They're called rhino, traitor, etc. That's not right. I'm sorry, that is not right what they wanted to do. That was Trump's first major bill when he went to office. He wanted to pass.
No, I don't fully agree with cutting that mental health budget, but
He wanted to cut Medicare, which supports the mental health budget by $880 billion. Joe Kennedy speaks on that, actually. And I don't think he did virtually anything to stop shootings. And the Republicans don't want to do anything about shooting. Maybe besides arming teachers, but they don't want to do anything about shootings. Then proceed to try to cut the mental health budget by $880 billion. That's messed up. I'm sorry.
All right. Let me talk about the killing of al-Baghdadi. He was hard on Iraq and those terrorist organizations as well. He killed the ISIS leader al-Baghdadi, and there's another leader. I can't fully remember it, but I think that was good. We also bring up, he did a bill on it was animal abuse. That was good.
Animal abuse, yeah.
Can't fully remember that. So
yeah, of course, anything to do with animals, I will support, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
All right.
Immigration.
Oh
His
crap.
border wall, I think it did. Well, it did. We saw an increase in the border stops, and we saw a decrease in illegal immigration of what they could count. But we also saw he did deportation information, which was mainly used to keep families from being spread apart through deportation when they had already gone into the country.
No, I don't like Trump's immigration. I think it would have been a lot better if he didn't introduce the bill, No Tolerance Act. You probably heard of that. 8,000 8,000 kids were separated from their parents because of that bill. Eh, I don't care how strong your security is. If your bill is going to do something that dumb or that evil, your system has failed. I'm sorry. When you're judging with people's lives, and this is going to affect those kids forever. We're not even sure if they're ever going to see their family again. That I don't like your bill if that's going to happen under your presidency. That's just evil.
Security increase though.
Yeah, insecurity
Definitely.
increase. It was a lot. It's a lot better than it is under Biden. I think he had a stronger security. It's just a lot more evil. I know Republicans say, "Well, Obama built the cages," blah 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 blah. Yeah, Obama built the cages, but they spent at least around 50 hours most in those cages. When the No Tolerance Act came, I think they spent up to I'm not sure the exact number, 20 to 50 days. I'm pretty sure. That how does he not see how evil that is? I'm sorry. I understand Obama built the cages, but they spend no longer than 2 days in there. They're spending up to 50 days in there, and then they're being separated. I'm sorry, that's stupid. Not all of them were
And that's
separated, but
just the
8,000 kids were
reality
separated.
of our immigration process. And we just say, I think that we should um, have a reform of our immigration thing and of our
That's the
immigration
one thing
system.
I like about Biden's immigration. He's trying to bring back the families with the kids. Not all of it's successful, obviously, but he's trying his best, which I do like. But he needs stronger security. I will agree on the Republicans for that.
Yeah, but my main point here is that our security was really strong, and the wall wasn't just a whole bunch of money down the drain. It was actually effective. It saved us money. We could be doing
I,
something else
I
that's
can tell you
more
why the wall
expensive.
just didn't work. It doesn't really work that well. First, it doesn't really stop illegal immigration. It's like those doors in hotels where you walk through and then it goes to that other side. It's weird. It's like that because when they go to America, they want to go back to Mexico to visit family, etc., like that. But when you build the wall, they can't go back to Mexico, so you're just keeping all these illegal immigrants in there in the first place. And I think around 40% of illegal immigrants come by plane and then overstay their visa. I'm sorry, but every immigrant's gonna start doing that. Maybe the thing that is good about the wall, though, it does stop a lot of drugs, which I do support. It does not stop illegal immigration, though.
It doesn't drop, it doesn't stop it, but we saw a decrease in it. The wall didn't stop it, but it made it harder to cross, which made them easier to
It,
catch
it,
and
it it's not. It didn't make
prevent
it
it.
harder to cross. All you have to do is overstay your visa. It That's the major point. The only thing it did stop was
And
I think
when we
I think
see,
like like more drugs coming across the border, which is a good thing. But Trump's main point of the wall just didn't work. It
but
didn't
we
stop
see,
illegal immigration. The wall was never built. I don't think it was never built. My governor, is trying to fund the wall instead of helping all the issues we have in Texas. It's I'm not going to talk about Abbott because I know this is about Trump, but it's just the wall didn't stop illegal immigration. It's not going to.
it nothing will. I don't think anything will stop illegal
Uh,
immigration, but
it,
it cut down on it. For what it had. It wasn't finished, of course. But I mean, like, even Biden, who spoke against it, even filled in gaps of it because I think it's pretty necessary in keeping that low and seeing a decrease. And they can overstay their visa, and then we look on ways to cut down on that. And to
Virtually, I don't think there is a way. I
You don't think there's a
really
way?
thought about it. I don't know how you can stop that. Maybe stop flying from Mexico to USA. That's the only reason. But then you're going to be called racist. Then you're going to call. That's just dumb. So I don't. Illegal immigration. If they're bringing drugs, is a big deal. If they're not, I think we should worry on bigger issues. I'm sorry.
Well, some of them are bringing drugs. Not all of them, no. Some of them were bringing drugs, and I think that was a big thing.
Yeah, but those are the ones that actually crossed the border and went by coyote. The ones that are actually trying to look for a better life. Because America, I'll agree, I'll 100% agree. America's the best country. We have the most opportunity for jobs. We have all this good stuff. They're just trying. Most of them are coming for a better life, and there are some bad apples that are rapists that are trying to bring drugs. Yes, but that, but the wall probably will just stop on the drugs. That's virtually it, which is a good thing. But it's never. That's not going to stop illegal immigration. It's just not.
Well, I mean, they are coming here for opportunity, but the thing is, they do it illegally, and Trump doesn't want to see
Let me ask you a
doesn't want to
question.
see them come illegally.
Why did they do it illegally? If it was so easy to come to America legally, why did they do it illegally?
It's not easy. That's a whole other can of worms that we can open up. But they're doing it illegally.
The thing is, I don't like about Trump's immigration. Virtually no one's coming in. It was very low immigrants coming in. And a lot of them are even coming in to escape persecution from all the crime in Mexico, and none of them were coming in, honestly, and that's why they were coming in illegally. That was their only option at some points.
Yeah.
And when Biden said come, why do you think so many of them came? Realistically, if it was so easy to come legally under Trump, why were so many immigrants at the border when Biden said come to America, or whatever he said?
Can you repeat that?
So if it was so easy to come legally under Trump, why were so many immigrants came when Biden said come to America, we'll let you in, or whatever he said?
I'm not saying it's extremely easy. It's a hard system, and it needs to be changed. It needs to be reformed. But we do not want to see illegal immigration. And that's what it was about. And it did. It decreased illegal immigration.
I don't know really how you're going to measure those numbers. I think it's probably a way, but we're not exactly sure.
We saw an increase in the stops at the border.
But yeah, I do think it might cut down on some. I think it did cut down on the drugs, which I do support, but I don't think it did much.
And that was one of its main purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that would make it overall effective. If it served its main purpose.
Oh, hold up. I got to charge my phone. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, it was kind of effective, but the thing I don't like, he never let anyone in. 8,000 people were separated from their parents. I don't think that's successful. Maybe the wall, and if you started letting people in like at a normal rate, that would be successful in my opinion. But all the like the no tolerance act, that's not right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring up a new subject since we're going free out on talking about that stuff Trump did. Another thing I don't like, I'm watching the Colin Kaepernick show on Netflix. Highly recommend, by the way. The thing that he brought up a good point though. When the BLM riots were happening, Trump was calling them thugs. He was just insulting them. When Colin Kaepernick took and kneeled down, which is his First Amendment right to the pledge. Yes, I know I don't support what he did, but that's his right. He called him a son of a. I'm not repeating it, but he called him a son of a. So the thing is, but look what he called the terrorists that stormed the Capitol. He called them. He said, "We love you. Please go home. We wish you peace." That's hypocritical. I'm sorry. That's just.
Can I chime in?
He's wishing love to literal terrorists that are storming the Capitol in his name, but he's calling the BLM protest thugs, and he's calling Kaepernick a son of a. He's telling him, get him off the field, a son of a. I don't know. I'm not repeating it.
Let me come in.
Whatever.
Yeah, they were rioting in his name, which means that his voice telling them to go home is going to work.
Okay, so why did he not do the same thing to the BLM protest?
Because
if he's saying, please go home, we love you, please stop, though, we'll try our best.
Because BLM isn't going to listen to him.
Yeah, and you know what happened? They didn't. I saw 4 hours at the Capitol. They didn't even listen to Trump. They were saying, we're staying here, blah, 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 blah. They didn't even listen to Trump until the National Guard finally came and kicked everyone out.
Yeah, but the idea was that they would listen to him. He told them to be peaceful before they went. he asked them to go home, and it just didn't work out, and it was a bad day. It
And
was not
also,
good.
the thing I don't like, he never called the National Guard. I think Pence begged him, he refused, and then he called the Secretary of Defense. That finally happened. 4 hours though. If Trump had enough balls to stop his own protest, and who knows what would happen? I think all the cops that died that day would be alive. All the protesters that died that day would probably be alive. Not certain about the guy who overdosed, but that's just that would. Who knows what would happen? But he just didn't do anything. 4 hours it took. 4 hours, and it's not just Trump. I only blame Trump for a majority of what happened that day. I blame a majority of the Republicans that encouraged the violence. Maybe not Trump, but I do blame Ted Cruz. I blame Marjorie Taylor Greene. I blame all those garbage people that caused the riot. Josh Hawley, etc.
Yeah, yeah, could say that. Yeah, I think Trump was really more
I'm reading
focused.
the comments. Someone said Antifa. It's Antifa. That's funny.
More good. I think Trump was more focused on kind of getting them to go home and stopping it than other Republican
Clearly, I'm sorry, but
congressmen.
2 tweets are not going to make a whole riot go home. You have to
Yeah.
have enough balls to stop all those terrorists from storming the Capitol.
Yeah, I would say you could have done more, but I mean, just compare it to BLM. I mean, it's 4 hours on the Hill. You've seen videos from there.
I see
Like,
BLM. BLM was
there
a
are
disaster,
people.
but the thing about BLM, no one was responsible but the people, like the
Yeah.
7% that riot. Those are the only people responsible.
But that's the people that we see, and you don't see. I don't really see those leaders condemning
I know, but
and
that's the thing.
denouncing.
Look what Trump did to the BLM protests. He was tear gassing them, rubber bulleting them, whatever. He went hard. He was actually sending the National Guard to stop the BLM protests. Why did he not do the same for his Capitol riot?
Well,
And the thing about the BLM protests and the Capitol riot, one was trying to fight because George Floyd died unjustified. Yeah, he didn't have a good record, but he died unjustified, and the court system agreed on me there. But in the Capitol riot, the main reason they were rioting because they couldn't accept that their Lord and Savior Donald Trump lost. There's 2 different reasons why they're protesting. But they're both equally. I think the BLM protests were more worse because there are more of them. But they had a better reason to riot over the Trump supporters. Crap! I just dropped my marker.
the Trump supporters.
There we go.
I mean, if you think about what they were thinking, it was a stolen election, it was corruption on the Hill, and
Oh, yeah.
they were going there to protest it, and then a few bad apples really
It
kicked
wasn't
it
just a
off.
few bad apples. It was like a couple thousand bad apples. But continue.
I mean, it started as a few bad apples, and then
Yeah.
people came in, and many of them were just chilling. You've seen some videos, like many of them were chilling, but many of them were also rushing around the hallways. I mean, it seemed more like a comedy show than like some kind of horror show, what they call it, because it was like stupidity that you saw. They were just running around the Capitol. They were taking things like statues, and
Yeah.
I don't think like.
I
And
don't
also
support the
another
BLM
thing
protests one bit, though. I do
is
agree on you there.
on January 6th, they stood up to the federal government,
They stood up to the federal, but
and
again,
then with the
5
BLM
officers. I
protest, it
think
was on private
one died at the
property.
Capitol riot. 4 other officers died from suicide reasons, probably because of the Capitol riot, because they killed themselves right after, and that's probably because of all the hits they took at the riot. The thing is, Trump didn't do anything to stop it, though. Originally, it took 4 hours for the National Defense to finally have enough balls to call the National Guard, and compared to BLM, the National Guard was already there before anything happened. I think what they both did is terrible. And BLM protests are probably worse because there are a majority of them. But
Mhm.
I think they had a better reason to riot. But
And
I'm not
also,
trying to justify it. What both of them did is just terrible, and I completely don't condemn either of their violence.
yeah, and also with BLM, it was on private property, and with that, it was on federal. January 6th was on federal property, and I think that does add add a factor into the response of it.
Also, I'm going to talk about this is not Trump, but anyway, the thing I don't like is the 13 Republicans that voted against giving the police officers a medal. Some senators and and mostly just senators would have died if it wasn't for those police. I forgot the main guy, but the guy who led all the people to a different area right next to the chamber, the Senate chamber.
Mm-hmm.
He saved Mitt Romney's life. Mitt Romney was walking down a hall. The policeman said, "There's a riot going on. Leave." So he went to safety. Countless senators were saved that day. It's just, that's not for fighting over what, a false election claim. And Trump tried. I mean, he tried. They virtually found nothing in Georgia. They said find 11,000 false votes. That would be the exact number for him to get the lead in Georgia. They found 2. Yeah. There was almost no proof of election fraud, and they found nothing. They tried, and they found nothing. So Trump just couldn't accept the fact he lost, and look what happened.
Yeah.
It's upsetting.
I'll agree with you there. It was immature what
Very
he did
immature.
after the election.
I said find 11,000 false votes. They found 2. Wow. And it was probably maybe like 3 now, but at the time they found 2. But it's definitely not enough to overturn the election.
Yeah, but the election was rigged. You know why? You know why?
Why? And Kanye West should have won. Yeah, you're right.
lost.
Yeah,
Kanye-
okay. You're right about that, though. You're right about that.
And I feel like that is just a perfect point to end the debate because literally
Yes, okay.
there's 3 minutes left on the clock.
Kanye 2024 then.
Mhm.
So first off, I would like to thank you guys so much for joining. It was
We should thank you. This is amazing.
Thank you for
opportunity.
having me,
Seriously.
Zane.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. I would like to inform you that people in the comments have expressed a part 2. So that might be the next debate coming up sooner than later. You never know.
Maybe a
thank you
different
guys so much
topic.
for watching Politimas Day 2, and we will see you tomorrow for a brand new YouTube video.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.
See ya.